I don't think he had one, which is a bit weird. But I can't see how it's not him.
I think it took all up of one of the right shoulder. It might have taken up both shoulders. That was very big.
Okay.
And it was a panther.
Yeah.
And probably no one knows it, but all after the war.
Well, hang on. Let's sit down because this is all good stuff that we need to know. We'll record it.
Putting you under the spotlight here.
Yeah.
John. I'll give you that photo before it gets somehow lost. Because see here, even on here on the DNA, see it says MC, that's Malcolm Campbell, but you've got there managed by S. Curry. So Sharon is his wife. So Sharon is very proactive on the.
They come to, or you come to be mixed up with the Campbells, well?
Yeah, through Sharon contacted me on a website.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got in contact with me before I sort of had this connection as well.
I met the senior Mrs. Campbell from New Zealand.
Okay.
Which is this one.
And one of her sons.
Was it George Campbell?
I don't know, but he was a ham radio operator.
Okay. Because there was a George Campbell who went missing at a similar time to Aubrey, and
that's
and Sharon was quite excited because she thought that my father may have been that, but he I think was a good 15 years older than Aubrey.
This Campbell had his wife with him when they came here.
Okay. Yes.
It was about
Stella.
I can't remember now.
Yeah.
So about 47 or 48, and they had a fish shop in Christchurch.
Okay.
That's all I know about it. And that's where Mary lived, wasn't it? Christchurch?
I think so. Yep.
So I've got a couple of sets of photos. So that's the only photo we have that shows the tattoo.
He's got a mow there too.
Yes, he always had a mow in the time that I knew him. And
No, that's him.
that's a set for you as well.
Oh, beautiful.
That's your father, that's all
Yeah,
there.
yeah, that's my father. So, shall I tell you the story as it was told to us?
Yeah.
Basically, I have. I'm the youngest of 5. So there's Kathy, which is this lady here. This is her wedding day in '76. Margot, another sister who's not there in the photo, and then the 3 children that are Aubrey's children. So my brother David, who was born in 1961, Heather in '63, and me in '64.
I also had 4 kids.
He had 3. Three to my mother Dot,
Yeah.
who's there. So the story that we had.
Is that him there?
That's him there. So that would have been in 1976. So the story that we had was that he found himself on the Indian Pacific and was suffering from amnesia. And so this would have been late 50s. And he was befriended by a Scottish couple by the name of Heather Campbell and Alexander Campbell. So they decided that he should have the name of David George Campbell. And then he, not long after that, met my mother. And
But you're talking a bloke then who was well into his 30s.
Yeah, so if now the strange thing, John, is that to the best, he put his age up by 7 years in Western Australia. So whilst Aubrey was born in 1927, David Campbell, my father, had the same birth date of the 11th of April, but he had his birthday down as 1920. Just to confuse things. So when he died in 1977, which was only a year before then, we thought he was 57, but if he is Aubrey, then he was only 50 when he died.
Oh, that's him for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I feel sure that's him. So, I was 13.
I never knew him with a mo,
Yeah.
and I don't think I knew him with a tattoo on his arm either, but he may
That
have
could
had
have
one.
come anyway. So, I was only 13 when he passed away. So I didn't have that close a relationship with him.
Yeah.
But oddly enough, the best relation he had was with my sister Kathy, who's in the wedding photo.
Yeah.
So he really looked after his stepdaughters. I think he related to.
So that was your sister?
Yeah, that's my full sister, my full brother, and then my half sister.
Right. Now, how was she a half sister?
Same mum.
Yeah.
Same mum. Yeah.
That's her mother there too?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
your
so
mother?
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah. So, for the last couple of years of Dad's life, he and Mum were quite estranged, to the point where we shared my father and I shared a bedroom when he was at home, but he had a girlfriend who he stayed with occasionally as well, to the point where to the best of our knowledge, he actually died in bed with his barmaid girlfriend.
That'd be all.
Yeah, so that's yeah. So as an assumed person, he never paid. He was never on the registry for voting. Never did tax returns. Didn't have a driver's license, to the best of my knowledge. So basically, he was probably fairly fortunate to pass away when he did, because
Time was catching up.
he beat technology.
Yeah, well, Aubrey had about 15 brothers. They're all deceased now, which is unfortunate.
Except you. You're the only
And a
one.
couple of his brothers would have killed the bastard if they'd have got him anyway. But like,
Yeah. So tell us why. Tell us.
he was a funny bloke, Rob.
Yep.
I was in business with him for 3 years, and I worked for him for some years too. All the family had trucks and restaurants and all that sort of thing. Now, what you probably don't know, somewhere around about, we say 45 was into the ordinance, or 46.
I think 46 he got discharged from the RWA. Yeah.
49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54. Somewhere around about 49, he joined the army.
So after the event, no, after the war.
After the war.
Okay.
And even the family didn't know until Reg and Joe, two brothers, had a couple of trucks, and they got a third job, which was 24 hours a day, and they needed somebody to do it. And all was in the army in South Australia at the time.
Okay.
And that tattoo on his shoulder that I was talking about, I believe that was the either the insignia or the mascot or something to do with the South Australian Regiment.
Okay. That's good to know.
But I don't know about that. You'd have
Okay.
to,
Yeah, that's fine.
you'd have to follow that up. And they approached the army and got him out.
So why would he have rejoined the army in 49?
I don't think he ever settled down, Alex.
Okay.
He joined the army when he was about 14 or 15
Yeah. When Patrick busted him out.
and busted him out. Then he joined the Air Force. Now, did you know about that, did you?
Yes.
I think it was in George's letter.
Yeah, it is. And it's in the, just to go back a little bit, my wife's cousin has done a bit of family history work of her own, so she actually had put this file together. So we had all of the information. We effectively knew the connection, but we hadn't acted on it, and then we did the DNA test, and it's all been backed up.
Yeah, well then he joined the Air Force. He was still underage.
Yeah.
And Dad tried to get him out again.
Yeah.
And the Air Force said, we've spent too much money on training him, we're keeping him.
Yeah, so that's why, because we had picked up on the dates that he was only 17 when had rejoined the
Air Force, was
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
But that was before my time.
Yeah.
So I didn't
That's
meet
right.
him. I didn't meet him till 1945.
Mhm.
And after the war, I just don't think he could settle down.
Do you know whether he ever saw any action at all, or was he Australia based?
I don't know. I don't know anything about his service.
Yeah, he never talked about it, and he never said that he had been in the war at all,
Yeah.
or in the army.
I don't think so. James was at Wagga,
Yeah.
and I thought all might have been there too, but I wouldn't know. But you can get the war history by.
We have got it. I have got it. I think it's about 50 pages.
Yeah, it is.
It's pretty.
After the war, he did started a accountancy course,
Okay. Because it's always good with numbers.
and we used to. I was a smart bloke,
Yeah.
you know. But if he was a fool, he was a fool to himself. But academically, I don't think he had anything on paper academically, but
No.
he was quite an
Yeah. Quite.
intelligent, smart bloke. You
Yeah.
know?
His sister.
Anyway, I started this accountancy course. Matter of fact, I used to get the same train in the morning. I was still going to school then. And Aubrey would be on the train going to do his repatriation accountancy course. But then he gave it away. Then he joined the tramways. He was a bloody tram conductor for X amount of time.
Okay.
He just couldn't settle down, you know.
Now, there's some suggestion that perhaps he may have had a daughter or two.
He had one daughter for
Had
sure.
one daughter for sure.
Yeah, I met her. Oh, when I met her mother.
Okay.
The baby was only,
Do you remember her
what-
name?
And what year do you think that might have been?
that was 45 or 46.
45. So he would have only been a young man. He would have only been 19.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember the name of the child or the name of the man?
No, I don't. She came out to our house, out to my mother's place, and I think she only came out the once, but I wouldn't be sure. And she brought the baby out, and I was living at the 46 at the time. But other than that, I know nothing about it.
Okay.
See, it's very interesting. You've got Heather Marlin, Kathy Hawkins, Sandy Kay.
Oh, it's amazing how much. So the really strange thing about
They have extremely high.
David Campbell, my father, having amnesia is that the name the names that he's adopted are basically the Campbell side of the.
That's just,
Of the family.
that's just coincidence.
Yeah, I don't know that it would be coincidence.
He would have known the
Yeah,
Campbells.
like
He would have known or known right of anyway.
yeah, because Patrick Kerr's grandfather was Alexander, and it's just all these strange things anyway. Yeah. So then continue with your story about you working with. You worked for him first of all, and then you.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
I left school in 49, and then Reg and Joe had ice runs, and Orb was working well. And then I was serving an apprenticeship at the time.
what apprenticeship were you doing?
I'm an electrician,
Okay.
and Reg was also an electrician. And Orb had a nice run in Bankstown, and I used to help him in the morning, you know.
Yeah.
But then I can't differentiate now because I used to help Joe and I used to help Reg and I used to help Orb. And then they had a black working for me, I used to help him too, you know, so like I worked for the whole bloody lot of them at one time or another.
Okay.
But at Harry's wedding in 1954, Orb approached me, they were getting a company together. in the trucking industry,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I joined them. And at the time there was 4 of us. There was Aubrey, myself, a bloke called Jim Scully and a bloke called Laurie Douglas. Aubrey drove a truck, I drove a truck. Jimmy sometimes drove a truck, but he sort of managed the place.
Yep.
And then about 56, I took over the operations of the company. It was still the same.
So you would have been quite a young man at the time too.
I was
Only in your early 20s.
22, I think.
Yeah.
But I took over the operations, day-to-day operations of the setup. And Orb was still working for the company, you know, which would drive you bloody mad at times. It's like he was that casual. I was still driving, and we were all out round here in this postcode, about 3 postcodes. And here's Orb, I see Orb driving up Canterbury Road in a trailer, semi-trailer. Supposed to be in bloody Melbourne, it's Monday morning, you know. But that's how casual he was, you know. If he was having a good time on Sunday, he would.
And during that time, did you were aware of him having any partners, any girlfriends, wives, whatever?
No, not at that time.
No.
I knew the girl from the wartime.
Yeah.
There are a couple of women I knew at the time that he may have been seeing on a casual basis, but no, nothing on a permanent basis.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just give you an impression how casual he was, but you probably know that anyway.
Yeah, fairly well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So continue with after what happened after 56.
60, well, it was a funny thing. I sacked the driver. We had a few drivers at the time. I had to sack a driver. He passed a tram on the wrong side of the road and caused all sorts of hassles. But bugger me did, if Orb doesn't do the same bloody thing in Melbourne about a fortnight later with a semi-trailer. Oh, God almighty. Anyway, I think it was 66, but it might have been 67.
56.
56, right?
Yeah, 56.
56. May have been 57, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
But it was in September because it was my wedding anniversary. And he borrowed my car. So I went back to get it on the Saturday morning. Bob was living in a hotel at the time, the Orange Hotel in the city, down at the Rocks. He'd been there for some time actually. Because we used to have a depot in the Rocks.
Mm.
But it was too expensive and so actually we moved out to the suburbs. Anyway, I went in the Saturday morning to get my car and he said, drive us up to Central, would you? So, and just prior to Central we went into the Great Southern Hotel and had a couple of beers. He was going to Melbourne to attend a court case over this bloody...
Okay.
And no one in the family seen him from that day to early this.
Right, just disappeared.
Yeah. And your father was always concerned about him.
Yeah.
He used to ring me up nearly as often as you do.
So, certainly, my understanding of Orb when he was in WA, he was driving trucks when he met my mother, and he worked for Bow Repairs, the tyre people, for a bit. When I was young, so this would have been probably around when that photo was taken, around 66, he was working as a farmhand. He was always really good mechanically, bush mechanic. He could turn his hand to fix it.
He was no fool.
No.
But you're gonna.
But he loved to drink.
He liked to drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go along with that.
One thing I found out that you might have known or might not have known, and when I'm talking to the Hunts, Brian Goodwin, who you know, or you know him, you knew his mum and dad.
They were only kids.
Yeah, but Orb used to spend a lot of time with the Hunts. He used to go to Trundle quite a bit. He stayed there for periods of time. Is that correct, that you know?
Yeah, well
They know him now. They know who Orb is.
Yeah, he spent a bit of time up there.
So that's his farmhand and all that sort of stuff. Maybe that's what I'm saying.
He had a they had a car, I think what it was, a Chevrolet or Ford or some bloody thing. And you had a picture of the Trundle Hotel there?
Yep.
Well, it broke down outside the Trundle Hotel. And he'd obviously been working on it or something. He left 2 spanners on the mudguard.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd been there for months because they'd gone rust in. The rust had run down also.
Bit casual. Yeah.
But he used to get the shits working at Clary's place because Clary's wife, one of the hunts, had put him in the kitchen garden.
I've been staying
And the kitchen garden was about a bloody acre.
It's the widest street in Australia, I reckon.
Okay.
Because it used to have, where they used to be able to, the big log things used to be able to do a U-turn.
No, you get sunstroke road walking across the road. Yeah. Well, Aub's car was parked there on the side street for months and months and bloody months.
And that's where on Saturday
Yeah,
I'm going up there.
Yeah.
They're going to have a bit of a hunt reunion, and I'll be talking about this. I'll have this with me,
Yeah.
and maybe I can even find out who this
Yeah, just see whether or not you can see who they are.
AJ Green. But for her, it's confidence
I
high.
don't know whether the Goodwins have still got the property there.
Well, Brian won't be there, unfortunately. So, but yeah.
But he'd know. They used to have the biggest wall clip in the area.
How far is Trundle from Sydney?
5 hours.
Okay, so a fair way.
My wife's going away. I've got plenty of time on my hand, and that's one of the hunt. That's the 2 hunts when John said he knew them. They were very little.
Oh, but they only,
Yeah.
I'd only just left school and they were
Yeah.
about 9 or 10 or something, you know.
Okay.
But the hunts is
Yeah.
part of your relationship too. So
But their name is Goodwin.
Goodwin, yeah, because I think it was Irene.
Oh,
she married a
I
Goodwin.
I can't recollect her name yet.
Yeah.
But she was a tough bastard too, like, so was Clary. He wasn't a multi-millionaire for nothing, I suppose, but...
So certainly the theory was that when Mum first met David / Aubrey, that he was actually sending money back to New South Wales.
To your mum.
No, I would...
Not that you're aware of.
Well, it certainly wasn't to me.
No. And it doesn't sound like it would have been to the mother of his daughter, because that was some time past by then.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so, but...
Yeah. And does it... Yeah, I guess from your point of view, is there anything that you can think of as to why he would just cut off such a large family?
I really don't know. His brother, just digressing back to where we were, before he disappeared, he'd actually left our company,
Okay.
but was still working for us with his
Right.
own truck. And when he disappeared, he left the truck, and I worked his truck till it wore out, and I kept a special account for him, you know. Because he was well, actually I thought he might have got 6 months jail in bloody Melbourne anyway, over this bloody accident with the tram. So I just worked his truck until such time as it just wasn't economical to keep it going, you know. So he knew all that. But prior to that, there was when he was working with his brother Joe and his brother Reg. I'm his stepbrother, but
Yes.
I still class myself as a
Brother,
right,
yeah,
so
I understand.
for the record. They got into some sort of trouble, I don't know what it was. It could have been Aub's accommodation. He lived with Joe for a while.
Well, how much older was Joe than Orb?
Joe was younger.
He was younger. Okay.
You've got that wedding photo, is it seen somewhere?
Oh, that one there. I gave it back to Peter so it wouldn't get lost.
This was, that was Frank, Aub's youngest brother,
Okay.
very much like him. That's Reg, who was the brother directly under Aub.
Right.
and then there was Joe and Harry between them.
Okay.
Yeah, so there was nothing to do with,
Yeah, so that had been and done and passed.
yeah, nothing to do with our company or
No.
his previous company or, now he may have had amnesia, I don't know, you know.
Doesn't seem likely.
But it didn't, no, well,
Part of the folklore is to how his memory. I guess how we knew to look for Aubrey Kerr. First of all, he was watching Pick a Box one night on television, and one of the cousins.
George.
George was on Pick a Box.
That's
He
right.
was-
Pick a Box, yeah.
And Aubrey saw it, and he said, "Oh, that's my cousin," and that seemed to have triggered his memory that he was Aubrey Kerr. But it was only ever mentioned once it was his name, but there was also an indication that he thought he might have been born in New Zealand, which then opens up that weird thing about the Campbell's side of the family.
Oh, he knew who he
Yeah, indeed, I know. I agree.
I think when you
Yeah. So I don't have any doubt that it is Aubrey and David Campbell are the same person.
So
Just a bit weird.
he was estranged from your family too?
He was, yes. Oddly enough, because he had a better relationship with the older siblings. The older kids sort of sided with Dad, but as the youngest, I sided with Mum.
Yeah.
So, and to the point where Mum had planned to move to Bunbury, where I now live, before David died. David died in October, and Mum had got a job in Bunbury as a teacher, and she was.
What did he go, he went on to David over here?
Yeah, David Ian Campbell. Yeah.
Christ almighty.
is your mum passed away?
Yeah, she died in 1999.
And where do you live now?
Bunbury.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
We were over there 2007 actually.
Okay.
Only for holiday.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, now you like this part. The last job that Dad really ever had was as an ice cream van seller, like a Mr. Whippy.
That's going back to the beginning because
Yeah, the ice. Yeah. I know.
we used to sell ice.
I know.
And in the winter time we'd sell wooden coke in the afternoon
Yeah.
on Saturday. In the summertime we used to sell soft drinks.
Yeah, so he bought his own van. We never had more than 2 cents to rub together. He was a terrible gambler as well. Gambler and a drinker.
He liked to drink. He never. It's a funny thing with the Kerr family. None of them gambled early,
They gamble late.
but
Okay.
later on,
Yeah.
that George